Fear the Walking Dead Season 2, Episode 9, Los Muertos. Now, on my little journey of trying to catch up on basically being a month behind on the second half of this season, I gotta say I really love this episode. I thought it was actually pretty cool because I like the locations. I think that was my favorite thing about this episode. We have, we finally get to see at least most of the group. We don't get to see Travis and his son yet, but we get to see Nick. We get to see everything that's going on with him. We get to see what's going on with, Madison, Strand, Alicia, and Salazar's daughter. I never remember her name. Like her name and Travis's son. I swear, those are like the two names I can never remember. Even when I try, I can't remember who they are. But we get to see their group go to like this abandoned hotel, which I love the setup for that. I thought that was actually really cool. I like the style of it. As a huge nerd, it kind of made me think of the game Dead Island, which, for any of you who may not know about that game, it basically takes place in a resort. So that's what I was thinking of when they were walking through the hotel. I'm thinking of like, I kept thinking of that game and stuff when they're walking through the hallways. But I like the journey of the characters in this episode. We had, the danger, from Nick's side. We also had a bit of danger, especially introduced at the end of the episode. But we had the danger on Nick's side, and then we had the really emotional stuff from, like, especially Madison and Strand when they're drinking, and just the crap that they went through, and, Madison being so hurt that her son chose to take off, and her having to talk with her daughter, and she's like, he left us, he chose, just whatever's out there over us, and we just have to deal with that. And we also find out the boat is gone, so that was something I thought was actually kind of cool. They are officially done with the boat. I thought that was actually a pretty cool thing. It's like the boat is done. That was a pretty big thing. I personally enjoyed the boat. I thought that was a cool little bit of scenery because we still saw them go through like the craziest stuff where they'd stop off at an island and then people are crazy on the island and then they get attacked even in the water. So I, personally speaking, I really enjoyed the boat. I thought it was pretty cool. But basically they make it official. The boat has had its journey. I guess the military or whatever, they were just waiting for them to get off, and then they stole the boat. And I was like, dang, that really blows. Like, they have, basically no materials now. So they have the emotional journey. Nick has the sort of even more of an exploration in this episode, where he's actually in this compound now. We get to meet a new character whose name I, of course, don't remember her name. But we get to meet basically the two leaders. And so we have the woman who kind of takes Nick out for like the one mission where they go through the bus and stuff. And then we have the guy who, at first I thought he was just a doctor, and then as they go through the episode you kind of realize how important he is. So I thought that was interesting because he seemed like, oh, he's the guy who helped Nick, so of course he gets to the focus as like the doctor who also speaks English. So I was like, alright, well, he's like the doctor that kind of helps people and stuff like that. So it made sense. And then as it goes along, it's like, no, he's actually like the de facto leader in all of this, and he's kind of like the guy where he's like, I just help everybody or whatever, but he's in charge. And especially like towards the end of the episode when Nick kind of, he made that play, the guy talks to him, he's like, I understand what you did and why you did it, but you do it again and you're effed, is pretty much what he was going for. So it seemed like, we got a tiny little hint at his darker side. But I like these two characters. I actually like both the characters that we got to, see who they are and kind of how they feel about the situations that they're in and what they believe in and stuff like that. Because when it starts off, I was like, oh man, Nick goes, he finds that little girl and she's crying about her dad, and he looks out and he was like, I don't understand what's happening. This big crowd is there, and there's this guy, and he goes through the bus and he stands and they're chanting and stuff. It's like a mantra, and this is when people are crazy, because even if they were speaking English and I knew exactly what they were saying, it wouldn't have made a single difference, because when everyone is in unison like that and it's a guy going to basically kill himself, it's like, okay, these people are crazy too. Now he's in a weird situation, because that's what I thought. I was like, oh, they're crazy too, and he's really screwed because this is really weird. Who knows why they sent that guy in there? Maybe he messed up or whatever. But then we find out it was because he was going to die. It was because he was sick, so the way they do it is they put themselves in like that pit, and that's their defense. So it's like, you get killed, and so then you're brought back, and you actually help defend the rest of us who aren't sick, or who aren't gonna die no matter what happens. So it made a lot of sense. And I can't remember if they've gone through this already, where I'm pretty sure they did. I think they did in the first season where they found out really early on, like people turn no matter what. Like even if you stab them or whatever, if they die in any way, unless it's from the brain, they come back. So I'm pretty sure the main characters know that, but we don't know if this village knows that. Because when that happened, even once I found out, I was like, oh man, it makes sense. But then it was like that really sucks because it was like they couldn't just like stab the guy in the heart or so. I understand not using a gun to use bullets, but you can like stab a dude straight in the heart or something like that. So that it was at least much faster. I mean, I don't think it would be 100% painless just because you got hit in the heart. You'd still feel something. But I was like, man, that was just the worst way to do it. Just let him get eaten like that. But they might not know, so it kind of made sense. I was like, that is so harsh, but that's just the way they have to do it. So it started to make a lot of sense. And then Nick is taken out on this mission because he's basically expendable, and we get a little clue into why these characters believe what they believe, and it's that not everyone, or at least we don't know this. I mean, it may have been revealed because I'm a couple episodes behind, but it's kind of thrown out there like this guy has been bitten, and we've seen someone was actually there when it happened. They saw this guy get bit, and he survived, and it's like okay, there's so many questions. There are a million questions as to how that works, and because when we get to see it at the end of the episode, it looks like just an actual bite mark. So it doesn't look like he got bit in the arm or something like that, and they like cut a chunk out. It looked like that was the actual bite, and maybe it was deep. So either the zombie took that whole chunk out, or he was bit, and then they like scooped that part out of him, and it saved his life. But it was right next. It was basically at his neck. So either way, it's a pretty crazy situation to him, for him to have survived that. And I just can't wait to get the explanation, or get to find out how that works out, because that's a huge deal if that's what they're going to be showing us. Because we've seen it if you watch the original series, which odds are you do. We've seen that happen before, where someone's bit, in the leg or something, and it's like, all right, we got to get rid of that leg. Or someone gets bit in the arm, which actually did, I think, the season before the most recent one, and it may have actually been in the last season, early last season, where a guy got bit, and he was like, oh, chop it off. He was like, we don't have time, you got to chop this thing off. And he's like, all right, do it. And he had his buddy just chop his arm off right there, or at least it's like at the elbow. So people know what's up. They know that if you get bit, you can at least stop it if you get rid of the part that's bit. But when it's right up in this area, that's a lot of vital components up here. So I'm kind of excited to get the explanation as to how he ended up surviving, in that situation. So I thought that was a really great reveal at the end, because I don't believe that she says it's actually that guy. She just says like, oh, I saw someone actually get bit, or maybe she did mention that it was specifically the guy. But we do actually see it at the end, and it's not just a little thing. It's like the normal zombie spot. It was like, okay, I'm just gonna bite you, basically right on your neck. So great reveal at the end, and I'm really excited to see how this plays out, because it's actually 100% true. And so as they, after Nick learns that little story and they actually go to kind of the drug dealers, we get to see a pretty interesting situation, because they have it all set up as like, all right, you give us something that we want, and you go in, you fill the cart, with whatever. And I don't, for whatever reason, maybe this was the whole plan, because of course, with the whole deal, like, oh, you just fill the cart up, whatever fits is what you get to take. He could have easily fit that little the little snack cake thing. I don't know why I said cack, I meant to say snack, and I mixed them together. But he could have easily just thrown that in there. So I feel like it was his plan all along. Once he saw the guy's sister, like, oh, I definitely know what she's going through, so I'm going to set this up. And he's super fortunate, because, as he mentioned, he's like, of course they won't kill us, because he's the leader, and it's his sister. It feels like one of his goons. He might not care so much, but they have people in that market that are, trying to survive as well. And it's very interesting, because, once they go in and we see all these people, I was like, oh, this instantly changes who they are. They aren't just really crappy people who are just trading random things. And even then, they wouldn't be the worst people, because it's just survival. But, of course, they, took over the whole supermarket. But we see that they have people in the actual supermarket, so they, it actually, the trade isn't just, oh, let's get more bullets for us or whatever. They actually are trading items for the people that they care about, or random people that they've decided to take in, into the supermarket. So it instantly made them actually better people once I saw, like, oh, they have people they care about too. They aren't just, we're just solely making this work for ourselves. They actually have people they care about too. So it makes them a bit more sympathetic. And it could also make them a bit more dangerous because now they have this situation where, Nick, kind of pissed them off, and, he basically threatened not to help his sister out so that they could get more materials. And as the one said, there's never been a situation like that. They don't know where we live, and this might change that because they're going to come here if they want to, and who's going to fight back? They have children, and pretty much everyone there seemed like they're either middle-aged or older, or way too young. There was no one, like, right in between, like Nick, where he's, like, in his 20s. And, there are, like, a couple of people, but everyone was either much older and sick, or much younger. And the one dude in the beginning of the episode who may have been in his, like, mid-20s, he had to go in because he was sick and he was dying. So they don't exactly have a full force or anything like that. Another big thing is that the people at the supermarket clearly weren't the same people that were shooting up the zombies and stuff that, when Nick was in the crowd. So I don't know what that means, if we're going to see a third faction come into play that's just like, if they're the really crappy people that are just gung-ho about, wasting ammo and stuff like that. Because if that were the case, they probably would have just shot, they would have just shot Nick. It wouldn't have been a waste of time for them. They would just be like, alright, boom, he's dead. Because those three guys clearly didn't care about using up all their ammo on a big group. Like, they could have figured something out, but instead they're like, alright, let's get out of the car and try to have a bunch of fun. And of course that's how 2/3 of those people ended up dying. So yeah, I assume it's not the same group. Plus the guy they most likely would have had it where the guy was there, and maybe he would have recognized Nick, or something like that. But it was interesting. So we might have a third faction out there. I actually really enjoyed Nick's side of the story, and how, who knows, like, he did something good for that little girl, but he may have screwed those people over, because that guy might be super pissed now, despite the fact that he wants to help his sister. He might make it worse for both parties by being, just going based on anger. So who knows how that's going to play out, but like I said, I enjoyed his side of the story. Then we have the other group side where they go into the hotel, and we have Alicia and, daughter Salazar. I really wish I could remember her name, I just never can. But, everyone goes in, they go through, they're checking doors and stuff like that, and they find people that are dead. We don't know what happened to the daughter. I'm still very curious. I don't think she actually killed herself, but it was really weird. Like, the way they did it, I'm like, there's no way this episode's gonna end where she committed suicide, because that was, like, her whole thing. She was like, maybe that's what we should do, because nothing's gonna work. And then Alicia's, she's taking the shower, and she gets out, and it's like, alright, you go ahead. And she's just gone, and the window's open, and everything is like, I don't know what to think here. Like, there would be a really crazy way to end it. Which, another thing, we still haven't seen whether or not her father's alive. Like I said, that may or may not be in one of the episodes that is already out. But at this point, for me, still nothing. So, very excited for the next episode. I like the little journey, and Madison and Strand talking, and how what would have happened if they'd met before, and how Strand still would have kind of, hit on Madison just because that's who he was. And, they just bond, and then they have sort of this teardown, mostly through Madison and stuff, about how everyone kind of took off, and how now how all of them really are just kind of stuck, and they don't know what to do, and they don't know where Nick is, they don't know where Travis is. Who knows where Travis is, really. So, I like the way they did it. I really enjoyed that. I thought it was fun. Them just drinking, and then, kind of her breaking down more and more as they, Strand was trying to help her out, and it just got worse and worse. And then he's drunk, and so he starts playing on the piano, and then all the noise from, like, I think it was like a laundromat or something, some random thing that was locked up. They break through the window. Then you get a bunch of zombies falling off balconies, which I actually love that scene where they're just, like, falling off, because I think that was the moment that actually got me, when Alicia was actually walking, and it's just like a zombie just falls straight down. It kind of got me when that happened. I was like, I wasn't expecting that. And then they're just, they hear the music and just random other noises, and they're just falling over. So now we have this ending where two characters are just trapped. They're just trapped in the middle, and, Alicia's probably going to have a crazy situation trying to get them out of it. And like I said, who knows where the daughter is. So I'm actually pretty excited for this next episode. I thought this was actually a really fun one. Odds are, we'll get to see Travis and his son in the next episode, and they'll kind of keep things going, and then it'll be 3 stories in one episode, and kind of keep going. But I enjoyed this episode, of course. Definitely want to know what you guys thought about it, so please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts, your least favorite parts, and although it most likely has been revealed, I would love to know what you guys think happened with Salazar's daughter. Like, what did she decide to do? Personally speaking, highly doubt she killed herself. Maybe she was thinking about it or contemplating, and then this situation will take her out of it once she realizes that things are going crazy and she can actually help other people live. It becomes more than her. Like, she might still have those feelings where she might want to commit suicide and kind of possibly do what her dad did, but maybe the thought of helping other people survive will outweigh her wanting to end her own life. So it's kind of hard to tell, but she took off, and they don't even show what's happening with her. So I'm actually really excited. Like I said, personally, I don't think she killed herself, but I wouldn't be surprised if that was at least a part of her story arc for the second half of this season, which I think might actually be pretty entertaining. I think I'd like that, and her getting words of advice like, no, we have to stick together and stuff like that. Don't think I'd hate that. So I'm kind of hoping for that a little bit now, because I just think it would be interesting now that she is officially alone. She doesn't have her father or her mother, who died even the first season. So I wouldn't hate that, and I think it would actually make a lot of logical sense, where at this point she's just like, who cares? Like, we might as well end it and just make it easy on ourselves. So I don't know. I could easily be wrong, but like I said, I wouldn't hate it if that happened. Overall, I thought this was a pretty fun episode, but like I said, we'd love to know what you guys think, so please comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.